Hi, so today we're basically going to explain about the density of ice and its importance to the world, as well as the basic physics of the chemistry of ice, such as why does it float in water, and etc. So the approximate density of ice is about 0.916 grams per milliliter, making it less dense than water. We also know that water is made of the molecule 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen. And since ice is basically the solid state of water, that means that both water and ice are made of the same substance. That leaves us in the question is, why is ice less dense than water? Well, the answer to that is hydrogen bonding. A water molecule is made of 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. We know that every element in the world has charges. So let's say that a hydrogen molecule has a positive charge and oxygen has a negative charge. Well, in this case, positives and positive always repels, negative and negative always repels, and positive is always attracted to negative. In the case with ice, the molecules are so condensed to each other that there's not enough space for the same charges to repel. That causes it to take up way more space. That is why ice is less dense than water. Since the same amount of molecules, ice takes up more space than water does, causing ice to be less dense than water. This means that with the same amount of molecules, the same amount of H2O, ice takes up way more space than liquid water does. And since the density of ice is less than the density of water, it causes ice to be able to float on water.
How does the density of ice affect our world? Think about the organisms that live in the Arctic Ocean, and the Arctic Ocean is basically made of ice. Animals and organisms such as the polar bear, Arctic hare, and Arctic fox use ice to live, rest, survive, and catch their prey. And what about Antarctica? Think about all the penguins and other organisms that use ice to rest and just refuel for their day of hunting prey. And think about the ecosystems under the ice. Think about a lake. Ice freezes just on top of a layer of a lake, so then the organisms that live in the water can still survive, catch food, and live. 69% of fresh water is trapped under or in glaciers. We can't access that water because it'll be hurting the ecosystems that depend on it, and because it is all frozen, so we can't melt it or anything.
What if the density of ice is more than the density of water? That means ice would be able to sink in water. And that would mean organisms that depend on the ice, such as polar bears, won't be able to exist here today. "69% of the world's fresh water would be accessible, but it would also be destroying their ecosystem. If this happened, the ice would destroy the plants, and plants are basically the food for the organisms. That means the organisms would be dead as well. The density of ice is important.